It's been one of Britain's most successful industries over the past 2 decades. But if the COVID-19 pandemic hasn't been challenging enough, now infighting among some of the Premier League's most famous clubs has left it fractured and facing a PR problem. Unity has been at the heart of the Premier League's mantra since its formation. 20 clubs with an equal say and, crucially, an equal distribution of broadcast revenues has helped make it a global phenomenon. But that could soon be about to change.
As that global audience gets older and younger audiences, especially from outside the UK, are interested much more in celebrity and the bigger brands, then there is pressure from those bigger brands to say, well, we are the box office and we think we should have more of a say and more of the money.
Plans to alter broadcasting revenue distribution, part of Project Big Picture, led by Manchester United and Liverpool, were rejected unanimously by the Premier League. But as COVID-19 continues to curtail matchday revenue and rumours of a European Super League resurface, upcoming broadcasting rights negotiations, which provide clubs with so much revenue, are expected to be much tougher.
It's difficult to see how the Premier League can sell the rights at the present level of prices. Watching matches take place in the sterile environment of an empty stadium is not the same as the atmosphere which is generated by the fans being there themselves. This is having, again, a negative impact upon viewing figures.
In 2019, the Premier League generated more than $880 million from matchday revenues. While this is only around 14% of total revenues, it's still a significant amount of money that many of the smaller clubs will have a tough time recuperating. There are few places that symbolise the Premier League's growth better than Tottenham Hotspur's billion-dollar stadium. But this 60,000-seater arena has been empty since March, meaning millions of dollars in lost matchday revenue. And the prospect of Spurs welcoming a sellout crowd here is still many months away.
I don't want to hear about anybody breaking away. You want to hear about it being unified. You know, I love the Premier League. I think the whole world loves the Premier League.
Breakaways, it's not going to help anybody. It really doesn't. And like I said, like the smaller clubs, it's not going to help them.
The next auction of Premier League broadcasting rights is due to begin early next year. And with the future financial structure of the league looking at its most uncertain in decades, clubs will be relying on good results both on and off the pitch. Oliver Regan, TRT World in London.
Well, let's get more on the potential shake-up of the Premier League now with Stefan Szymanski in Ann Arbor, Michigan. He's a professor of sport management at the University of Michigan. He's also an expert on the economics of sports, focusing on football. He's written extensively on the subject, including co-authoring the New York Times bestseller, Soccernomics. Welcome to the program, Stefan. Now, this so-called Project Big Picture that's been leaked to the media in the UK really could be the biggest shake-up that the English Premier League has ever seen. And ultimately, in a nutshell, it involves giving more money to more clubs, but also giving the bigger clubs more power. What's your view on what these plans involve? Is it a good thing for English football?
No, I don't think it is a good thing in the long term. The long-term effect of this will be to reduce competition amongst the clubs. And I think we all appreciate, one of the things we all appreciate about the Premier League and the English structure in general is how competitive it is. It's only, 4 years ago since we were all overjoyed by the success of Leicester City in gaining promotion and then 1 year later winning the Premier League. And the kind of proposal that the big clubs are making would make that kind of event much less likely.
And I guess this pandemic really has put pressure on some sort of a plan to quickly save some clubs from potentially folding altogether during this economic crisis over in the UK and around the world. But the Premier League itself has condemned this plan. Do you believe that we've seen the end of this so-called big picture plan, or will it be resurrected in some other form later on?
I think we're going to see a lot of ongoing negotiations about ways to restructure the leagues, and we may see elements of this plan resurface. The fundamental problem is that a lot of the smaller clubs in the lower divisions are facing bankruptcy, which is a problem for their owners. And it's not necessarily a problem for the clubs because the clubs always survive, even if the owners lose their money. But in an attempt to save themselves, the owner investors may actually ultimately agree to some kind of restructuring, which in my view would actually be not in the long-term interests of English football.
Okay, Stefan Szymanski, we'll have to leave it there, but thank you again for joining us on the program.